Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Liam's Hockey. Pleased to be coming at you again as we start a new month, the second one of 2021. Just like the month before, and the one before that, as we continue to roll through the pandemic. But God willing, at some point this year, the world will come up for air and we'll get back to a whole lot more normalcy. But for now, February 1st, 2021, a couple of quick things here to roll out for you. And I think I'll start with the... Seeing as I'm a Hab fan, slightly partial to the Montreal Canadiens, the hit on KK Kotkaniemi by Mr. Dube. There's no question in my mind it was an illegal hit. I thought it deserved at the very least a minor penalty on the play for illegal check to the head. At the very least. I think had they gotten at least that instead of Calgary getting the power play out of it all, there'd probably be a whole lot less angst in Habland. But we have seen in this early going here, at least with the two situations regarding the Montreal Canadiens, that maybe there's a new benchmark for how you gauge when there is actual contact with the head. Is it secondary? Is it primary because a player turns? What's intent versus what's not? No injuries versus injuries, which there was in Armia's case. But so here we are, and so be it. I mean, there's been a suspension or two, I think, already handed out this season. A couple anyway. Definitely Fiala's hit. He got 3 games for that one on behind from behind, and I mean that was right on the numbers. Drilled his head first into the board. So like to see that that's still there. But you know what? Really, to be honest, the bigger issue is nobody did anything on Montreal, and that's just a broken record. I mean, I know Edmondson went and fought Myers the next game, and they had a good little scrap and everything, but they play again tonight, right? They play Vancouver tonight and tomorrow night, and these games should be... I mean, Vancouver used the Ottawa Senators as a springboard back to playing good hockey. They looked really good in their last game, thundered Winnipeg, and here we are. So I think that we'll see a hell of a game tonight. But the point is that you just somebody's got to answer that bell. Like, someone's got to take 2, 5, and 10. Montreal, barring anything really unforeseen, should make the top 4 in this North Division, in this Canadian division. And you got a situation where you've just had your second player in a month run over. And there's got to be a response. And I know it's not in everybody's character. I give Edmondson a lot of credit for what he did, and he set that up pregame. But at the end of the day, there's got to be a more direct and definitive response, whether it's right then and there or you do it the next time he's on the ice and somebody's got to go him. And you got to take 2, 5, and 10, you take it. But get your shots in then. Don't pussyfoot around and drop the gloves and try, just give him an opportunity to say, we're going, and then go. Whether he's going or not. If he's going to go turtle chuck on you, then so be it. But feed him. And nobody did. That's a much bigger issue for me. But I think we'll see a hell of a game tonight. I believe Josh Anderson will be back. He took the morning skate. That's a big loss out of the lineup on Saturday. But give Calgary a lot of credit. They played desperate. That was a desperate team Saturday night, and it showed. And Markstrom was just unbelievable. His numbers right now are significantly better than his career numbers. I mean, significantly. He's a career 2.7 goals against average. He's hovering around 2.15 or something right now. And his save percentage is about 16 points better than it normally is. He's at, I believe, 929 right now, save percentage. He's normally around 914, 912, something like that. So, I mean, he's been a good goalie for a long time. And Calgary, hey, they're a resilient team. I had them missing, but like I said, at the end of the day, at 56 games, I think we're separated by between teams 1 and 6 by possibly 6 to 8 points. So it's just going to be an absolute race to the sprint to the finish line here for sure. So we'll see what happens tonight. Montreal, Vancouver. Canucks looking good lately. Habs trying to rebound from their first regulation loss, and Carey Price in tonight. Here we go. Jake Allen played outstanding on Saturday. Let's see. Connor McDavid. I said it a month ago, and I just want to expand on this just for a minute or two. Not even that long, really. I just want to plant a seed with anybody that watches this to start considering him in your water cooler discussions, which none of us are having, or very few, because no one's in a building really working. But But any discussions you're having with your friends, say over a couple of pints or 100, that where's he going to start to rank for you in terms of all-time greats? Now, he hasn't done it longevity. He hasn't got the winning yet. There's a bunch of things he doesn't have on his side for a lot of people to start rubber stamping him to get up into that upper echelon of the NHL. But just take it at face value right now. That's what I'd like you to do. Just take it at face value. His style of play, what he can do with his speed and his puck handling ability and his agility and everything he can do. Where is that starting to rank with you as a hockey fan? If you've got any longevity as a fan. Little difficult if you're only in your 20s and probably even if you're only in your 30s. If you get into your 40s, 50s and beyond, maybe you can start to sort of equate this to what you've seen in the past and the level of consistency now that he's starting to do it with. This is a guy who's got Hart trophies, Ted Lindsay's, and Art Ross's already. So he's going, barring injury, he is going to add to all of that this year. He will win the trifecta this year, barring any injury. No question, bar none. So where does that start focusing on that? That goal, his first goal against Toronto on Saturday night. You seen a better goal this year? I mean, this guy is all world, man. 5 points last night, and I think he had 3 shifts in the third period. That's the thing. When some of those guys were racking up the 7-8 point games and whatnot, they were playing the third period. Wayne didn't a couple of times, but for the most part you were. Mario too. But Draisaitl, they put him out there. They were trying to get him the 7 assists. He fed everybody, and nobody could get that extra assist for him. But which brings us to the final one today, the Ottawa Senators. And I mean, you can go online and just it's palpable, right? And you can feel the angst from Sens Nation. It's Sens Nation. It's they're imploding. Even not the most ardent fan, because the most ardent Sens fan thought they were going to challenge for a playoff spot. But that's just a fan being a fan and not really knowing hockey. They're just being a fan. But for those that actually have a conception of the game and knew that Ottawa was, barring anything really unforeseen, was going to, and unforeseen would be massive injuries on all other 6 teams, that they were going to finish 7th. They just weren't expecting them to be this bad. And look, the vets that have been brought in, and more importantly, the contracts they've been given, as much as I love Pierre Dorian as a person, and he's a great man, and he's a good dad, and he's all the rest of those things that you need to be as a human being in life. But I think as a general manager, you got to wear that, and should probably make him expendable. The thing is, history has shown us here in Ottawa, with this owner, the worst in the history of pro sports, that there is no magic pill solution that he's just going to write a check to. I mean, there's no salary cap for a GM. Like somebody said, God, he could go get Jim Rutherford. Actually, it was my roommate. My roommate, Peter Oliver, said he could go get Jim Rutherford. Like, he'd probably write Jimmy his own ticket. Would he come? Probably not. But then, there's some other guys floating around with a pretty good pedigree that maybe would come here if the money was right. And as daunting a task, but you look what's in the prospect table here, it's just the problem is, where is the track record in the number of most recent years to suggest that these guys are going to stay here long term? I'm not worried about what's going on ruining a Stützle or a Shabbat or a Tkachuk. These guys are immune to that at their age. Believe me. They're happy to be in the show. How do you not love Tkachuk? I mean, he hates to lose. Every player does. But he demonstrates it more. You know what he reminds me of a little bit? He's got a little bit of Terry O'Reilly in him. He's got a little bit of, Brady does. Matthew does too, but Brady's style is a little different. He's not as cheap as Matthew. He hasn't shown it yet anyway. So what? He goes to the front of the net and makes it difficult and maybe gives someone a shot in the head, and he's had a couple fights. Man, that doesn't make him a bad guy. That makes him a guy that 30 other GMs would want. Make it 31 when Seattle comes in. I'm a fan of the guy. And anyway, I'm off topic here. But the Sens, get those vets out of there. These guys, I'm sorry, but Riley, Coburn, and Stepan should not be in your lineup. You've got to bring in taxi squad guys. You've got to rotate goaltenders. I don't care if you got to rotate him every period. Punch Imlach did that once in 1966. He played one goalie every period. And always just doing it at the end of the season to fool around. And I'm being a little facetious, obviously. Not saying dress Joey Decord to play one period. But rotate them in. Give Joey a shot. What have you got to lose? You're not getting anything from Matt Murray right now, and someone's got to wear that contract. Problem is, who replaces Pierre Dorion if you let him go? There's nobody on the magic carpet waiting to come in because of history is showing that Ottawa's not going to pay. Dorion's a general manager because he's the cheapest they could afford, and he was promoted from within. Not because he was showing all sorts of reasons to be the next general manager in the NHL. So it's a tough scenario. They're going to have to eat a lot of losses, more likely, more like last night than not as this season progresses, because most teams are going to look at this as a free spot of the bingo card, and Ottawa is going to start playing spoilers. That's the other thing I'll say. And I'm on social media too, and when the game's over, there's so much angst, and what gets quickly forgotten is a bunch of good shifts that they would have had. Like, who are the Edmonton Oilers right now? First of all, their goalie Skinner was terrible. He was terrible last night. I know it was his first game, but oh my God, if he's playing any of the other teams in the north there, I think he probably gets lit up, and he got lit up anyway. They scored 2 power play goals. They scored 5 on him. Yeah, a couple good goals, whatever. He was no better than Ottawa's goaltending. And that there's just no synergy through that lineup on Edmonton. They got a nice win against Toronto on Saturday night. McDavid has to play out of his mind. Draisaitl, they got 2 guys doing all the heavy lifting there, day in, day out. And until they rectify that, you had Darnell Nurse, nice piece on the back end. Larson's looking better. Best I've seen him in Edmonton lineup. And I know they've been screwed, right? Mike Smith got hurt. I didn't even know that at the start of the year when I predicted them to finish second. That's on me. I still would have had them probably in the top 4 anyway, and they're going to have to hustle to get there. But we'll see. Like I said, it's going to be tight all the way through. But anyway, I think the Senators, everyone's saying play the kids, play the kids. Yeah, it's play the kids. But, you got a couple vets that I think can hang it. But you've got to rotate. I know they've had a different lineup almost every night, but there's been some semblance of synergy with mostly those vets that were brought in and sadly signed. You got to eat that. I mean, Pierre Dorion has to probably know, barring anything unforeseen, if he does make it through the year as general manager, it'll be a small miracle, and he may as well do his best to try and get this lineup ready to make some noise down the road, really for September. You almost, as an Ottawa Senator hockey executive, be starting to plan for that right now, to be honest. I mean, it's gotten to that state already, 8 or 9 games in, and that's a serious situation. It's not good. It's going to be a lot of pain. It's like Mike Babcock when he did the press conference said, "Look, it's going to be painful," and they're back where the Leafs were that first year under Mike Babcock, and probably even worse. Let's be honest. They're worse even than that team because the back end is so bad. But there's different parts of almost every game they've played. Almost every one, where they have looked like a hockey team. They can control the puck down low. They've had stretches. They had that first period against Vancouver. They had that game, the first game against Winnipeg. They should have won. They had the win against Toronto and the second one against Toronto. You've had some moments, but the consistency obviously isn't there because there's not strength in the lineup enough to deliver it over 60 minutes, and they're not getting a save, plain and simple. You're not getting a save. It doesn't matter. You're going to lose the majority of your games. I'm going to sign off for today because today marks the start of Black History Month. And I've mentioned this before. I touched on it before. And it was very nice to hear. I post these on a couple of my platforms. And I got a beautiful message from my dear friend Daryl Maxwell. Daryl, if you see this, I'm thinking of you, buddy. And our time at Review in the late 70s. For those from the Ottawa area, you may know Daryl. You may know his older brother, Stan. Hell of a minor pro player back in the 60s. And nobody hit a golf ball further than Daryl Maxwell in the late 70s and early 80s. Nobody hit a ball further than him. And a scratch cap or a plus cap on top of that. Club champion, Review, club champion elsewhere in the Valley, and just a prince of a man. But I'm toasting my what I've learned through with Black History, largely through Chuck Spider Jones. And everything else. Willie O'Ree, what he's meant to the National Hockey League and continues to do so. So in honor of Black History Month, and for the friends of mine that have given me some education along the way, I salute them and I toast them, and I toast the diversification of sports and the inclusion in sports, specifically hockey. Long way to go, but it's been pretty. There's been some pretty good leaps and bounds here. So, toast to Black History Month on behalf of Chuck Spider Jones and Daryl Maxwell. Get it, India. Gidday.